Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado. And again, my friend Puccini, I'm picking times to make videos that he's sound asleep, so I'll put another still of him up. I have lots of them. Today I'm showing something that's been occupying my time for the last several weeks. My brother is having a 50th wedding anniversary and he's having a little do, and I put together the invitations for him. So I'm going to show you the 5 choices that I gave him, and then the one he picked, and the final scheme of what we picked to do, and the sizes and what pieces I used to make the invitations. And we made him 80 invitations, and I delivered them this last weekend. So let's just get started. Okay, these are the 5 alternatives that I gave him, and these were the prototypes. I'm going to try and get this on here with as little glare as possible. I may have to move it around. Anyway, this one says 50th anniversary. And then this piece of gold foil is done in the old Subtles embossing folder. And then this one is the 3D floral that we have right now. And this is an old ribbon, but this is the one that I showed him as his first choice. So that's my first sample. This one is very similar in that I used I'm trying to angle these so you can see them. I used the Subtles folder on here, and I don't know if you remember this one. This is one of my favorite old embossing folders, and I think it was called the Fifth Avenue Flower, or the Fifth Avenue Floral. And I have kept that in my stash, and I use it when making special cards. And this was one also from, most of this stuff is retired, and these little 50 stickers I bought online at Amazon, and they work just fine for what we were doing here. And so this one's got the Fifth Avenue flower on the bottom, and then this Subtle folder. I always have loved what the Subtle folder did to foils. It just makes them so interesting. And then this was a die set that we had that had dies and then the background, and I did these all in Berry Vanilla and Gold. So that was his second choice. This one did a little differently. I used that Subtles embossing folder again here, and back when we had, I think it was, I'll put it up on the video for you. This was a die that cut out New Year's, and so I just used the years and the 50 to indicate that it was 50 years. And then I used our Elegant Borders die to do this piece and kind of wrap it around the front of this one. Now these were all meant to go on a much bigger card, so that it was framed like this with their wedding information. I've got all the parts and pieces here printed on the back. So this was their details of where their event is going to be. So so it's 3 pieces. This larger piece, and I have a sample of the finished one for you here to show you what it is. But this was the third choice that I gave them. I ended up making the invitation a little bit longer because I did find some Berry Vanilla envelopes. And once I found those, then I wanted the card to better fit the envelope. Okay, so this was the next choice I gave them. And again, I'm going to try and turn that so it's not got too much glare, maybe like that. And it's got an embossing folder in the vanilla in the background. Then this was an old die set called Banded can't remember, but I'll put it in the thing for you. And I did Years in the Cream. Then I put one of these stickers and some ribbon across here, and this got backed on a piece of gold. So that was another choice that they had. And this last one is the choice that I gave them that they selected. So this was the one that they selected, and these little stickers got a little beat up. So we started backing them with a little piece, a little circle on the back, and glued them to that, and then raised them on dimensionals. But this one they kind of liked because it said the 50 years. It had this piece, and this is part of our Elegant Borders dies as well, and it had some ribbon down here. So those were the 5 choices I gave them, and this is the one they selected. And then I had to use things I could really get my hands on. So for instance, this is the final card. This is 4 inches by 9 inches for this centerpiece. Then this piece is put on the front and is using that embossing folder that has these, it's a 3D embossing folder that has these flowers in it. And it was tricky because you have to put in the card one way to get it down so far, then you have to turn it around and get it in the other way to do it, finish the rest of the card. And although I can see where it's joined, most people wouldn't be able to see it. But you can emboss down so far and carefully turn it around the other way and emboss the last bottom piece, and you'll get something that looks like the whole thing has been embossed, which it has, just that it takes 2 steps. And so on the original card, because I made this a little bit shorter, let's see, I think this original card was 8 inches, and I was planning for it to be 8.5, and I was going to make the piece behind it 8.5. And once I got going, I realized if I had a longer card, I could follow this die on around. And what I found was that on this die, I could cut 2-inch strips by 9 inches on a piece of gold foil. And then I could set my die down so that these points were just right here on the inside edge. And this is just long enough so that when you put in your machine for die cutting a plate across it, you can cover both ends of this semicircle, and then you don't get any funny lines. And so that is one tip for you. The other is it's almost impossible to do this much because all of these ended up being glued with Tombow in order to make sure that they stayed put. And I could put little dots of glue underneath on the back side of this and still have it hold. Was that we learned that getting glue off is very challenging. You cannot use a glue eraser, it just smudges. And if you use your hand or your fingers, you also get a smudge. And we tried alcohol, and the alcohol just took the gold color off of the paper. So we ended up using, of all things, a little vegetable oil. And it doesn't matter what kind, any old vegetable oil. I happen to have avocado oil on hand. And so we put a little avocado oil in a plate and then used a handy wipe, a wet wipe, to just pick up a little bit of the oil and go across any smudge that might have had a little bit of glue, and then you could wipe it off with your hand. And it didn't take the paper off, it didn't take the gold finish off, and it ended up taking the glue off beautifully. The only thing you had to watch was, of course, not getting any of the oil on the embossed parts of the card, but I'll tell you, it worked like a charm. So this was the end result, and then you turn it over, and then, oh, let me get the right one. And you turn it over, and there is the information about their anniversary and where it's going to be, and the RSVP message, and then the envelope. I wanted to do something special with the envelope. I sent this one to myself so I could see how long it took to get in the mail, what the post office thought it should have on it. And we put these gold stickers on the back of the envelopes. So, and then we put a nice piece of vellum across the actual invitation itself to keep the bow and the pieces all together. We made the vellum piece exactly 4 by 9 and put it across here, and then you could slide it easily into the envelope. And these envelopes that I used here, I ended up ordering online. I found a company that made envelopes in this vanilla color. I had to order a bunch of them in order to make this work, but that's fine. You only have 1/50th wedding anniversary. But so this actually filled the envelope like this. And I delivered 80 of these to my brother-in-law this last weekend. So I wanted to share with you the samples that I did. We cut too many of this size with the things lopped off because that's what we thought we were going to use. So later you'll see a Christmas card coming back with this kind of design on it. I decided that's what we could do with it. But that is my project for the day. I just wanted to share with you these cards that I made, the final one, and kind of what it looked like, and so that you could see this, and you can make any kind of a wedding card or an anniversary card, any kind of an announcement card, and was really pretty simple. The whole process was, and I was able to use, this die is current, the Elegant Borders dies. It might be one that's retiring, I'm not sure. This ribbon was current through the current catalog, and this embossing folder is fairly new. This year's die is one that's retired, and so that's the only thing on there. And my original samples had this ribbon on it because I had that in my stash, and I ended up using this ribbon, which was current at the time that we made these. Anyway, that is my project for the day. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And if you haven't already, if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, well, I'd love to be your demonstrator. Let's see, I will be back soon with more cards, more tips, and more projects. Bye!